So we're about 9 days into the process. It's the following Sunday, and this is the beading I've done so far. I've gotten all of it done pretty much on the bra, or at least on the cups and the sides. I want to talk to you about the fringe and some troubleshooting things. I actually have a whole separate video teaching you how to make fringe. You double knot it, how to make the strand, count the beads or measure it with the measuring tape, and then double knot it here. So check out that video if you need help on that. But I'm going to talk to you about the strategy of how to attach it and how far apart your strands need to be. So here's a perfect example. We have this arch, this curve, and over here it's kind of parallel to the ground, but then as we get further along the curve, it's much more sharp. And as it's close to the ground, they're kind of, really close together. But as it gets more of a sharp angle, they're actually attached further apart because you want the visual distance between the strands to remain the same. And yes, you could calculate that with Pythagorean's theorem and totally go crazy with it, or you could just do it by eye. And I usually just do it by eye. But yeah. Just letting you know that you want them to be further apart where it's a sharper angle, or else they would look way too bunched together. And over here, making the strands, I tried to kind of keep them parallel to the edge of the cups, just so that they're not tickling me while I'm dancing the very ends of them. But over here on the emblem, I wanted a really sharp angle. So I could have gone with an angle that's like parallel to the edge of the emblem where all the strands are the same length, but instead I wanted it to be longer in the center. So what I did was I made this strand, and then I made this, this white strand. So those are the two ends of my emblem thing, and I made one in the center. And I kind of went from there. But when I put the strands on, I actually used this angle where I laid them out here, because it was a lot easier to get them flush with each other than if I were just doing it by eye this way. So that's a little trick. You can just pull things off to the side, even though eventually they'll be hanging straight down, to make it easier for you to make your strands the lengths you want them to be. And over here we have our swagged fringe. And these had little accent beads in them, which are really cool. One downside of them is, though, that as you dance, one strand may kind of jump over the other, and they want to get like tangled and stuff. But it's easy enough to fix. You just kind of run your finger down from where the attachments are, and they'll sort themselves out. And really, from 10 feet away, nobody's going to notice if your beaded swags are a little overlapped. But right now I want to talk about the importance of using strong materials. I can't overemphasize this. It's just so important. The original costume was made with regular sewing thread, like regular sewing machine thread, which is, believe it or not, very weak. When you use it in a sewing machine, there's a top thread, and then there's a bottom thread in the bobbin, and every time your needle goes into the machine, into the bottom of the machine, it wraps around the bobbin thread, and now you have like a little twisted knot. So it's actually the strength of two strands of that thread that are keeping your seams together on your pants or something. But it's even two strands of that. Even if you double it up, it's really not meant for beading. It's too easily cut by the edges of your seed beads. It's really not strong enough. So I really recommend button and carpet thread, or craft thread, or just carpet thread. Anything that's really strong, really thick. And then when I use it with the sewing needle, I double it up, knot the ends together, and use that for all of my beading. Really important. Because, not that this is the way you use your costume on purpose, but you want to be able to pick up your costume and violently shake it from a single strand of beads, and for it to be perfectly fine. Because, not that you're going to intentionally do that, but, every time you're dancing, you're moving through a restaurant, a strand of beads could get caught on something, or, caught on your cymbals, and it's important that you try not to lose your beads on your costume, because, well, these, you know, these are probably not expensive, very much so, because they're just seed beads, but what if you use really nice ones or really hard to find ones? So yeah, really important to use strong materials, and it'll keep your costume nicer longer. Here's regular sewing thread next to the beaded the beading thread. You can really see a difference. And also along the lines of using strong materials, I'm going to give another shout out to Gross Grain Ribbon, which I'm using to make my own shoulder straps. So this is the single shoulder strap that came with the costume, and I guess the intention was to attach it to one of the cups, have it go behind the neck, and then hook an eye or something to the other cup. But instead I'm going to make two of these that are going to attach behind my neck, and I'm making them wider because I want fewer pounds per square inch on my shoulder and my neck. I want the weight, the strain of holding the bra up to be distributed better than a narrow strap would do. And I like the design that she did with the beading, but I don't have a lot of these blue beads, and I think I'm going to need them when I work on the belts. So I'm actually going to save them for later and just edge it in silver. And I think it'll look nice. Alright, so that's where we're at.